Okay. I've been guided here that we need to deal with one at a time. You listened to the auditor's report. Any observation, any comment? I don't see any, because I see people are saying the report is okay. But there are some who, after speaking now, I see 3 hands, and I think 3 is too much. Because you know, one is okay, but those 3, can you move to the mics, please, and make your observation? Mr. Steve, go to the mic, and the brother there, and then the other one at the back. There are 3 mics, and I think this was kind of prophetic that there are going to be 3. That's why we have 3 mics. Okay, let's start with the let's start with the one at the back. Let's start the one in the middle. Joy, you'll be listening, and Gifty, all of us here, people do auditing, accountants are here. You all look like accountants and auditors. So get ready. If there is anything that you need to respond to, you do. Mr. Kibas, is that Kibaswil?
Yes.
Today you are dressed differently. You know, I recognize you through dress. Okay. Go on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everybody. First, I would like to just highlight something very important to the distinguished lady from GCAS. Are you aware that Botswana Union doesn't recognize your professional opinion when it applies to lower organizations such as conferences? Botswana Union doesn't recognize that. I need to repeat that. Botswana Union doesn't recognize you as a rightful auditing authority in the Seventh-day Adventist Worldwide Church when it comes to lower organizations such as conferences. And secondly, in the report on page 22, there are 2 things that I need clarified.
Speaker, just a minute. I want you to qualify the first thing that you have mentioned there so that we can understand that Botswana Union does not recognize. Can you explain so that we are not lost?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I come from SBC, South Botswana Conference, and I've an experience where GCAS had rendered, granted an unqualified report to the financial statements of the conference, and Botswana Union did not recognize such. And Botswana Union chose to prefer the opinion of the local law enforcement authorities such as DIS and Botswana Police, because they did not recognize the unqualified opinion granted to South Botswana Conference by GCAS.
Okay, move on. You have got one less than a minute.
Thank you. In the report on page 22, Mr. Chairman, there's a highlight there that a risk assessment is being carried out, a periodic risk assessment, and we are told that it is still going on. I need to appreciate what are the possible risk areas that have been anticipated and why. The last point, there's a point there as an objective where you are strengthening union-wide internal controls. And you are saying that this has been achieved. No, you are saying you are highlighting the high quality, consistent and reliable financial reporting, and you are saying all this has been achieved. The last one is that one about internal controls. And I just need to understand if you have conducted any systems control as part of that exercise, and if not, why?
Thank you. Your time is up. Next at the back. Technician, the mic at the back is not working. You can move to the second mic.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm a delegate from SBC. Page 24, I think there's a correction to be made there in terms of the conference shared tithes from North Botswana Conference and South Botswana Conference.
The observation is, as you get into the mic, you need to identify yourself like the first speaker.
Okay. My name is Brother Simango George. I'm from South Botswana Conference. Okay, I'm saying on page 24, there's a correction that needs to be made there in terms of the total tithes received from the conferences. It's showing 10,050,000.
Simango, we are dealing with the auditor's report.
Okay, let me come to the auditor's report, then I'll come back to it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, the auditor's report, I think I would like to believe on page 43, they have indicated two types of reports. The one which they call the standard report, and then the other one they called qualified on the retirement funds. So I think a better presentation there should have been where they say standard, they must indicate as unmodified. Because the other one is modified. When you just say standard audit report can be modified or unmodified. So that's one thing I think that needs to be corrected there. The second one is that I've seen audit reports which are unmodified for 2018 and 2019. But we are given in the report that they've done the audits from 2014. I'm talking about the Botswana Union. So I haven't seen the audit report for the period 2014 to 2017. The other one on the retirement fund as well, which was established in 2017. I've not seen the audit report for 2017. I've seen the audit report for 2018 and 2019. And then the other one is basically what the brother was talking about here in terms of internal control and risk assessment.
Your time is almost up.
Yes, so I think those are the ones. The other ones are basically on the financial statement.
Thank you. Yes. Last person, Elder Steve.
Good afternoon, brethren. I'm going to restrict myself to a principle. I am constrained and I've signed a declaration, so I will not go that far. I will limit myself to a principle. By the way, I think we all know that...
Identify yourself.
Okay. My name is Abraham Sitibe. I'm from the Botswana Union Executive Committee.
Amen. Continue.
Yeah. Now, I'm like I said, I'm going to restrict myself to a principle here. And that principle is, going forward, let us remember that the church, when you talk about the church in Botswana, we are talking about the union and the arms, which are the conferences. So we expect to see an audited statement that has the union and the conferences. When you are asked to submit a statement at the registrar, that is what the registrar wants to see. The union is not an entity on its own. It has the subsidiaries, it has the arms. So let us see that presented well in the audit statement. Principle, thank you.
Thank you. Sister, you need to respond that to the first, the third and the second, they were just making observations. But you can go ahead and respond to the first speakers. And that also, Rask Gift also may step in to talk about those questions. Yes. Yes, you can go to the stage.
Thank you very much to the honorable members. I am not aware of the non-recognition, but all I can say is that we are not, I'm not sure what you're referring to though, sir. Maybe you can just maybe give me a bit more clarity, because you said we're not recognized. The division is here, member of the General Conference is here. The last, from a few minutes ago, I thought that the General Conference Auditing Service is recognized in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I'm not sure if this. Maybe you can give me some more clarity.
Sister, there are other people within this room who will answer the questions. And I'm looking at the people, including the seniors. I'm looking at Cabo. I'm looking at Tiseboka. I'm looking at Gift. Those people will answer some of those questions, and I'm going to ask them to go to the mic and respond to the question that was asked, that Botswana Union does not recognize that, because I know they have got an answer.
Okay.
Let's start with Gift. Gift, go to the mic and respond.
Can I just finish up?
Yes, yes.
Can I just finish up as well? And then secondly, we are not forensic auditors. That's what I wanted to just clarify.
Allowed, may you go to the mic? No. Go to the mic and identify yourself.
This is Emmanuel Musek from North Botswana Conference. I plead with you, Mr. Chair, to allow my brother here to qualify his question to the auditor or his statements, so that the auditor can understand.
Thank you.
Please,
thank you.
I plead with you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Kebaswere, you identified yourself, so go to the mic and save time by making yourself very clear, so that the auditor and the rest can understand what you mean, that the South Botswana Conference or Botswana Union does not recognize GCAS.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Auditor.
Speak to the chair, not to the auditor.
Mr. Chairman, an auditor's opinion is a professional opinion. And we cannot risk accepting such a professional opinion only when it's convenient for us. And when it's not convenient for us, we don't accept it. Now, that conduct has been exhibited by Botswana Union regarding professional opinion from GCAS. And I'm hoping that this session can rein in over Botswana Union to know that GCAS is the authorized body in the worldwide Seventh-day Adventist Church to render professional auditing. I'll leave the rest to the CFO from Botswana Union. I think I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
I think I'll leave that to the leaders to probably respond to.
Thank you. Okay, Gift.
Good. Okay. Okay.
Please, can you stop the business there? Just speak to the chair.
Yeah, I'm a little bit troubled by the statement that we do not recognize, because we know that by policy, the GCAS is our auditor, an independent auditor, although they put a disclaimer there that because of our relationship as a church, it is seen or it is viewed as being part of the Seventh-day Adventists, but they are independent from us. So that's why they do their auditing using the IRFS standards. And what I am hearing the speaker trying to draw me to is that when indications show that there has been misappropriation of funds, we should just keep it there and forget about it. And take it that when the audit has been done, then that's it. But you heard that she says that the auditors give a reasonable assurance, not a complete assurance. So we are saying that when we engage other forms of audit, we are actually trying to find out the depth of the damage, because you know that you cannot prevent risk, but you can minimize risk. And sometimes in your effort to minimize risk, you find that there are people who still circumvent those minimal risks that are still available, and that can actually ruin the financial muscle of an organization.
Thank you.
And also, just to say that sometimes these things are actually imposed on us because within ourselves we don't want to follow policies, and we don't want to be obedient to the levels or structures of authority. And so sometimes an organization to be seen to be independent and not what you call it, witch hunting, you step aside.
Your time is up.
And then you give another person to give an independent assessment.
So in short, what Gift is saying, Botswana Union Conference do recognize and respect the Chikas and recognize the work that they do to the letter. The others were observations that were made. It was not questions as such, unless those who made those observations, there is a question that they think has not been responded to. They can go to the mic just for a second. Where I know that the last one, he talked about the way forward as a matter of principle that we need to be seen practicing. So those were just observations. Sister, you can go and sit down. And as she goes to sit down, I'm going to ask Gift to make a motion regarding the next, that's the finances, and then we move on. Okay?
I just want to know that observation.
I've not allowed you to stand.
But you said I should come.
Gift, can you make a motion?
I move, Mr. Chair, that the body receives the...
Hold on. Point of order.
No, Chair, I did make a...
No, just go to the mic. Yeah, point of order is accepted.
Make a point. I'm saying what we expect to see, it's a complete report. The union and its subsidiaries. And we have not seen that. And I'm saying, going forward, and there's no commitment on that. So this needs to come out clear. Why is it not being done? We also when you talk about the union, we are also talking about the institutions. It's not only about that unit called the union.
I'm sorry, point of order, Mr. Chair.
So that's what I'm saying.
Point of order.
I thought this report is a report.
Please identify yourself.
My name is Patson Mazonde, and I'm from South Botswana Conference. I thought this report is a Botswana Union Executive Committee report. So I do not expect corrections to be coming from the executive.
Thank you. Point of order allowed, and you are the last with the point of order.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My name is Iya Kiaoleboga. My point of order is based on the fact that we are discussing parables. I don't know.
We are discussing?
Parables. I don't know what my brother was referring to by saying BUC does not recognize GCAS. And I do not know what Elder Mpofu was addressing in regard to the point from my brother. And in my mind, the back of my mind, I'm thinking we are bringing total disrepute from the very point that was raised at the beginning of this session. I'm just thinking anyway, Doc, I'm just thinking. I don't know what the brother is referring to. I don't know what Elder Mpofu was responding to.
Thank you.
I wish that thing could be clarified so that everyone gets to know, everyone gets on board to understand the reality behind the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Your time is up. The one who raised up the question, it was responded to, and he kept quiet. Mr. Mpofu responded to that, and I did emphasize that the Botswana Union Conference do recognize GCAS, as GCAS is recognized all over the world. Matters which have not been revealed to us, we will really not take much time to dig deeper on something that is not related to the item on the floor. So I'm going to beg to these delegates who are here that let's follow the items as they are in order to save time. Some of the things we can engage elsewhere if need be, and those things can be clarified. Because if each one of us maybe did not understand or does not know something, and we give time for everyone, we stay here for the next long days. So I plead with you, my brother, even after this meeting, me and you and the first speaker, we will meet outside and say, why are you speaking in parables? It's only Jesus who spoke. It's only Jesus who speaks parables. Then we can be able to address that. So with that in mind, please make a motion.
I so move, Mr. Chair, that this August House receives and approves the CFO's report.
It has been moved that we accept the CFO's report. Any second? It has been seconded. I think there is, how many people want to talk? Let me see. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go to the mics, please. And be brief. I think I'll be asking the timekeepers to take note of the time because we are moving. We are moving with time. Okay, sister, you can start now. We are going backward.
Okay, Bamatu Sikwa South Botswana Conference delegate, just one question. The pension fund. The pension fund.
Okay.
Does it include the institutions as in the hospitals, the schools, or it is only conferences inside?
Thank you. Next, Murtikam. No. Sister, you didn't identify yourself. People, they think it's sister. You come to... Come to the mic and identify. She did. Oh, okay. Let's go to the next person at the back.
Buitiri Lokabu is my name from South Botswana Conference. I just want to, there is on page 30 of the financial report something that shows that we do have, on the allocated funds, that we do have 2.7 million for the office building. I want to know, why has there been any development in this area? Earlier on you joked that there was an excuse or something like that. We want to get the real reason. Number 2, on the same page, on the allocated fund, we have an amount that has been increasing for AUA that is now at 513,230. And I ask a question, how many students do we have in Botswana in AUA? How many are we currently supporting? Or are we only accumulating funds when we are not when we don't have anybody? Or what would be the reason for not having somebody there when we have accumulated funds there? We also have a bursary that has been accumulating, which is on the same page, to the amount of 758,000. And I wonder, with the rate that we have of sponsoring 4 pastors in the whole union, but yet the fund has been accumulating, is it not time that, given the fact that we need more workers, we should increase the number of pastors that we are sponsoring, because we have funds here, but yet we are not using the funds.
Thank you, Murthy.
The last one,
2 seconds.
The last one is on the retirement. I note that we do have 43 million in the retirement fund. The first question is, do we have plans of investing this retirement fund? We have not had anything to that effect. Is there, we see also that this fund is growing. Looking at the age of the workers, isn't it time that we should review the retirement contribution, the 10% that we are doing currently, so that we don't end up with depriving conferences of funds that just go to accumulate when people will retire in the next 40 years. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Let's have one person at the back to speak. Please, the 2 of you can sit for a minute. After that one, we are going to allow the CFO to answer, because if we accumulate too many questions, it may get lost somewhere. Okay, Mr. Smango.
Okay, my name is George Smango from South Botswana Conference. My first issue is on page 24. You need to correct the 2014 in receipts in terms of conference.
Which page?
24, page 24.
And be audible, please. We're closer to the mic.
Let me use the other one. Yeah, so what I'm saying is that the disclosure there is not correct. That total is not supposed to be 10 million, it's supposed to be 17 million. The second point is that on the same page, 24, NBC versus South Botswana Conference. You can see that the tax contributions from South Botswana Conference is far much more than the contributions from North Botswana Conference. I want to know why it is so when we know that the membership in the North Botswana Conference is higher than the South Botswana Conference. So figures are not making sense. Then the third one is that on page 27, we've got a statement of financial position. There are assets which have been disclosed there, in particular current assets, other assets, and fixed assets. What I've noted is that there are no notes which give us a breakdown of those assets. And without those notes, we are not able to comment or to analyze those assets in terms of the makeup of the assets, whether there's for example, the cash, there's supposed to be cash also in the current assets. Want to see whether that cash is growing or not growing, how it is being utilized and so forth. So what we are saying is that...
You have a few seconds?
Yes, what we are saying is that it's very important that, those assets are broken down. Want to see whether there are also receivables there that need to be impaired. I haven't seen anything about impairment in the report. So without this information, we are not able to give proper, analysis of the financial statements. Thank you.
If this was my personal church, I will make sure that we have a session for only accountants and finance people to discuss money matters. Okay, Mr. Gift, can you respond?
Okay. For the first question that was asking about who are included in the retirement fund, I think it's also shown in the book there. It's all the institutions except for Kanye institutions, which are actually on a different arrangement because it's a partnership with government, and so they're using the public act instead of our policies. So the retirement is for all our institutions, schools, conferences, and clinics. Then the other question about the office building. We have 2.7 million there. Actually, if you look at the three figures there that actually page 30, we have money there that we have put in there for the convention center, the office building, the office equipment, and then also workers' houses. Those are the funds that we are actually keeping for the development of the office and the things that go with it. And altogether it makes about 4.5 million. But the requirement to build that office is that we need at least 15 million. So what we have is not even a third of what is required. Policy requires that before you start a project, you should have at least 50% of the required funds. And we did take some quotations and try to see how we could go around this to get it done. Just the labor alone actually needed 4.5 million. In other words, we were going to take whatever we have, give it to the contractor, and we don't even have anything to pay for the materials. So those are the things that we still work on. When you look at the stewardship, the department as is going to come, it will tell why we are in that position. Because the participation that we see in our giving, it's very, very poor. It leaves a lot to be desired. So we need to work on the stewardship part of it. Then the other one is on the AUA contributions. These are contributions that come from the conferences. We have a 0.25% of a gross tithe that is contributed by the conferences towards education or sponsoring students to AUA. We actually took an action as an executive committee to say currently there has been no structured program as to who qualifies to be sponsored and what is the method of selection. So we asked the conferences to halt that program so that we can together put our heads together and come up with a modality to say how many students do we sponsor for theology, for education, for medicine, for all kinds of careers that we need, even doctors. So right now, what we have here is actually equivalent to sponsoring one person for 1 year. and that's it. So, although it looks very big, it's nothing. So, it's something that still needs to be tackled at conference levels and the union together, that we can come up with the modalities of using those funds. Same applies also with the bursary. This bursary comes from the division. They give us 180,000 rands every year, and we split those funds. One is it into three: the North, South, and ourselves. So what we have done is that whatever has been given, we give it to the conferences. So what you see here is what we have kept for the union, so that we can look at a bigger picture as to the needs of the union and see how we can sponsor.
You have got a few seconds remaining.
I think that was my last contribution.
There is one retirement fund. You have about 40-something million. Do we have plans to invest?
Yeah, it's because they are just looking at the money as if it's sitting in a bank. It's actually invested. Those are invested funds. So it's cash and cash equivalents. And most of that money is not here with us. It's actually invested in hard currency, the US dollar. That's why you see that it's growing exponentially, because of the exchange gains that we get from the investments. So you can see it has grown from 22 million to 43 million, although we also contribute about 2 million every year towards that fund.
There is a question that was asked here by Mr. Simango, which I really don't think that we need to discuss it. That why, okay, he put it to say South Botswana Conference gives much more than NBC. Why is it so? Whereas when you look at the membership in the North, they are more than the South. If you can make just a very brief statement about that.
Yes. This is the issue of demography. You find that the working class mostly is in the southern side, the capital, and the mines. And you find that in the north, although they have the membership, they are members, they move to the capital. So you find that they also contribute to the ties that are retained in the south.
Thank you. As a matter of fact, almost all of us here, we come from the north. Very, very few people are from the south. So let's not go into that debate. Okay, the other two people who are supposed to speak. By the way, I come from Mahalapi. So I'm from north. Okay, you can go on, Paul. And then after Paul, the next one, who is the last one. You saw somebody coming here just to remind me or to tell me that our time is out, because also the owners here, they are saying the food is ready and we don't need to keep them long. So after the two, I'm going to recognize the hand that I've seen at the back there, and that will be the last. Thank you. I recognize you. Okay, Paul, and then the next.
Muruti, thank you for the opportunity. I think mine is an observation.
Okay, you can go on.
I come from North Botswana Conference. When I look at the model that we are using to report and probably to engage into the reports that are being presented before us, I don't think we are doing justice to the reports that are coming before us. You know, a lot of people that are in this room are lay people, especially when you talk about these reports which are too technical. So when you take a layman and give her or him a technical report like this one, and expect that person to understand that report and make a comment, I don't think it's fair. Even in our parliament, the highest decision-making body that we have, when the president speaks, he will speak, and then the members of parliament will be given time to look into that report, so that they will come back and now speak to the report. So we are here, we are given this booklet that the people took almost the whole year to prepare it, and then people expect us to talk to it. I don't think that is fair. Mr. Chairman, I'm pleading with you that let us make our reports to talk to the delegates that are here. Because these people will go back to the churches and report. That is why you see only few people are speaking, those that understand the reports and the model of this thing that are happening. So I plead with you, Mr. Chairman, let's do something about it.
Thank you. The observation well received and the advice well taken. My apologies. We had intended that this report, they needed to go to the delegates at least a minimum of 2 weeks for them to study and, if possible, engage with the churches by looking at the report, so that when they come, they contribute meaningfully. But from the time we were permitted by government that we can now go ahead to normal, I think the time was squished on our side to a point that this booklet that you are seeing here, like this one, we also got it from the printer around, what time was that? Around 11 today. So we really apologize, but what you raised is important, and that is what needs to be done. We pray that in the future, all of us here, we practice that. Thank you so much for the observation, Mael. Yes, Paul?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My name is Paul Ramokalo, layman representative from South Botswana Conference. Mr. Chair, I think some of the comments that I will make have been partly covered, but it's more around the investment strategy. It's a concern, and I would want to find out, Mr. Chair, if at the end of my comment I can be able to make a motion, or we'll do it at a later stage.
Let's hear the flow of
Okay,
the comment.
thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it's more concern around the investment strategy, because if you look at page 35, you know, there are cash equivalents of 21 million. Then you've got investments sitting at 14.4. So 35 million, that is basically sitting there. Now, if you go to page 36, and you look at how much we have received in terms of income, I mean, really, it clearly shows that no, we are not optimizing our investment strategies. I mean, the current reporting period, we only made 365,000 pula. The highest that we have ever made in terms of our income, which was in 2017, we only made about 1.988 million. When we are sitting with, if we now add the retirement income that has already been mentioned, we are talking about 78 million that is sitting there. That could have been better, invested for us to, have enough income. We shouldn't be talking about clearly 365,000 the whole year as investment. We haven't invested. In short. So, Mr. Chairman,
a few seconds.
Yes. On the basis of that, I move, Mr. Chair, that an investment committee be established. That first and foremost, it must be a multidisciplinary or skilled investment committee that will understand investment, philosophies and strategies. That they, and secondly, and as well as the vehicles, investment vehicles, because there are several investment vehicles. And then they will be able to develop an investment framework.
Your time is up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much for the contribution, observation, and thank you for the motion that you have made. Allow me not to entertain the motion, but advise that those observations, let's discuss them at the plans and the resolution meeting tomorrow, and then they can be passed on to the incoming people as something that came from this session, that those could be implemented, of course, in line with the policy which suggests the committee that you are talking about. So we are talking about a step to implementation. The last one is Pastor Kumalo at the back. But Paul, note what you said down, and note all the points that you are noting, because tomorrow we'll have a time in the resolution committee to discuss about it.
Greetings to the audience here present. I'm Adrian Kumalo from the Adventist Archives. Mr. Chairperson, allow me to make a comment on the issue of the retirement fund. And I have no conflict of interest driving me. I want to believe that retirement fund is a trust fund. And the union is a custodian for that trust. This time around, it was not so from the beginning. I would like to know, what policies do you put in place to make sure that this trust does not fall into some other categories of activities for the union? I notice in the report that you have got Klokweng, you have got Lubatsi, you have got Kanye. Probably you have bought some properties with this kind of fund. One would like to know whether those properties are owned by this trust or somebody else. We would have loved to know whether is the union always considering, the growth of the ministers that are coming into the ranks of the ministry. What is the implication of the pastors that are mushrooming this time around into the ministry, maybe in about 10 to 15 years? But my primary question has got to do with, first of all, I want to say that I do understand that the union is a custodian of a fund, which is a trust. And if they made use of this trust, what policies do they apply to pick something from this fund when actually they are just simply custodians of this fund?
Thank you. Gift, can you respond to that?
Thank you, Pastor Kumalo. I get your concern, but let me just alleviate that concern by saying that the retirement fund is a standalone fund, which is not mixed up with the union funds. So it has its own books, it has its own management apart from the union. And the assets that you're talking of, most of them are union properties. And there's only one that has been bought from the retirement fund, Kanye, the Kanye one. And it was by the authorization of the executive to say that we need to put some of those monies in immovable properties that can actually appreciate than keep it as cash or liquid. So, but the process is not yet over. The committee suggested that 60% of that fund should be in immovable properties. Then you keep only 40% as cash or liquid assets, so that you are able to meet any demand at any time, should there be such a need. Also, the other thing that we need to know is that we need to understand that sometimes it may look that like we have a lot of money in the retirement fund, but remember that this fund is for people that are in active service right now. And there needs to be an actual study to see that at the end of their service or down the road, are we able to pay the benefits of all the people? Or should we come to a stop and we have to liquidate and give everybody what belongs to them? Do we have enough funds for those that are in active service?